There is a kind of silence that tests everything you believe about God. It is the silence that comes after you pray, after you cry, after you hope, and nothing changes. It is the silence that makes you wonder, God, where are you? In John chapter 11, there was a man named Lazarus. He was not a stranger to Jesus. He was loved by Jesus. Scripture says in John 11:5 KJV, "Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus." This was not an ordinary relationship. This was personal. Lazarus had two sisters, Mary and Martha. They believed in Jesus. They trusted him. But one day, Lazarus became very sick. This was not a small sickness. This sickness carried death in it. His sisters watched him grow weaker. His breathing became slower. His strength faded. Fear filled the house. They knew only one person could help, Jesus. So they sent a message to him. Not a long message, not a complicated message. Just these words. John 11:3 KJV. "Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick."
They believed that was enough. They believed Jesus would come immediately. They believed he would not delay. Because when someone you love is dying, you do not wait. But then something unexpected happened. Jesus did not come. He did not rush. He did not run. He stayed where he was. Scripture says in John 11:6 KJV, "When he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was."
2 days. 2 whole days. Imagine Mary and Martha waiting. Every sound outside, they hoped it was him. Every footstep, they hoped it was Jesus. But he did not come, and Lazarus died. The house that once had hope now had mourning. The sisters who once had faith now had questions. And this is where many of us live today. We prayed, we believed, we trusted, but heaven seemed silent, and it felt like God was late. But between the Bible lines, something deeper was happening. Jesus was not late. He was working behind the scenes. When Jesus finally arrived, Lazarus had already been in the grave for 4 days. 4 days, not 4 minutes, not 4 hours, 4 days. His body was already wrapped, his future already buried, his story already concluded by human understanding. Martha ran to Jesus, her heart heavy, her voice filled with both faith and pain. She said in John 11:21 KJV, "Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died." Do you hear that? She still called him Lord, but she also carried disappointment. She believed in his power, but she struggled with his timing. And maybe that is you today. You believe in God, but you do not understand his timing. You know he can help, but he did not help when you expected. But Jesus responded with words that carried eternity inside them. He said in John 11:25 KJV, "I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live." Jesus was saying something deeper. He was saying, I am not limited by time. I am not controlled by deadlines. I am not defeated by endings. When Jesus stood before Lazarus' grave, something powerful happened. Scripture says in John 11:35 KJV, Jesus wept. The creator of life wept. Not because he was powerless, but because he cared. Because God is not distant from your pain. He feels it. He sees it. He knows it. Then Jesus did something that shocked everyone. He said, "Take ye away the stone." John 11:39 KJV. The stone represented finality. The stone represented impossibility. The stone represented human limitation. But God was about to show that he operates beyond human limitation. Jesus lifted his voice and cried, Lazarus, come forth. John 11:43, KJV. And something impossible happened. The man who was dead heard his voice. The man whose story was over began a new chapter. The man buried in silence responded to divine authority. Lazarus came out, alive, restored, breathing again. Because when God speaks, death must listen. And between the Bible lines, we learn something eternal. God's delay is not his denial. Jesus could have healed Lazarus before death, but he allowed death so he could reveal resurrection. Because sometimes God allows situations to reach the point of impossibility so his power can be undeniable. If Jesus had come early, he would have been seen as a healer, but because he came late, he revealed himself as resurrection. What you call delay, God calls preparation. What you call silence, God calls orchestration. What you call ending, God calls transition. Because God is never late. He is working behind the scenes.
There are prayers you prayed months ago that heaven has not forgotten. There are tears you cried in secret that heaven has recorded. There are doors that seem closed that God is positioning to open at the right time. Because God does not operate by your clock, he operates by his purpose. Ecclesiastes 3:11 KJV says, "He hath made everything beautiful in his time." Not your time, his time. Because his time produces beauty that human timing cannot create. If Jesus had come early, Lazarus would have been healed. But because he came late,
Lazarus became a testimony. And your delay may be preparing your testimony. God is not late in your life. He is working behind the scenes, aligning things you cannot see, arranging things you cannot control, preparing things you cannot imagine. Because when he finally speaks, everything will change. Not gradually, not partially, but completely. Because when resurrection speaks, graveyards lose their authority. And this is the truth between the Bible lines. God is not late. He is working, always working, behind the scenes.